She dresses like a man, walks like a man, and even drives a car like a man. Faria Hoti, a Kosovo Albanian Muslim, has no other choice. She had to cultivate a more masculine style if she ever wanted more from life than being a stay-at-home mother who cleans and cooks for the family. Being a war widow is even worse.
Ka pas paragjykime mjaft të mëdha në atë kohë, se ka qenë shumë vështirë një grua e me marrë me udhëheq një firmë ose me udhëheq një organizatë jo qeveritare ose me vozit një kerr ose me dal në një kafish me pi një kafe, kanë qenë ata paragjykimet më thojza që gratë e veja kanë menduar që ato gra që humbin bashkëshort në luftë dhe jeta atin vetë është zi.
Faria lost her husband during the 1999 war in Kosovo, when Serb strongman Slobodan Milosevic massacred and expelled ethnic Albanians who were seeking independence from Serbia. Different from many war widows, Faria started her own business, marketing traditional organic food. That's where all the pressure and insults started, mainly from the few remaining men of the village. She was blamed for conducting immoral behavior by doing things only a man should do.
Kanë qenë ato disa fjalë që më të vërtet nuk janë të mira as për mua si nonë ose si Fari me diskutu dhe gratë pa burra e kanë jetën e shfrejnune, gratë pa burra vëdhen me na shkel për kerve, me kerra, gratë pa burra kanë luksuznitetin më të mirë sa ato gra që jetojnë me burra. Nuk e kisha faj as unë, atinve se burët e vetë nuk punojshin ose o mershin me gjana tjera.
In Kosovo, the difference between women in rural and urban areas, as in the capital city Pristina, is quite a paradox. The country was a member of the Communist Yugoslav Federation, where religion was barely an issue. Nevertheless, the religious influence remained a key factor to determine the position of the women in the Kosovan society. 14 years after the war and 5 years after becoming an independent country, the Balkan state has laws that are quite favorable towards women. The electoral law, for instance, requires from all political parties to have at least 30% women candidates for elections. Kosovo president is a woman. Atifete Yahyaga has been elected in the parliament by a vast majority of MPs. The government has 2 female deputy prime ministers and several other women ministers. One of them is Vlora Çitaku, minister in charge for the EU integration of Kosovo.
There is no doubt that the role of women in Kosovo society has evolved. If I compare to what my mother had to go through or what my grandmother had to go through, there is absolutely a progress. But then, if you come and visit Pristina and you get to meet with our president and you get to meet with our ministers and you get to meet with 30% of women in the parliament, one might get the wrong idea. We are not the representative sample of the position of women in society.
What Minister Çitaku means is that the real picture can be seen in some other numbers. Only 2% of the entire property in Kosovo is owned by women. Less than 5% of the businesses in Kosovo are owned by women. This, not only according to Minister Çitaku, is a clear sign that a lot needs to be done. Now in democracy, as the government minister said, women's rights are only progressing. But with the newly found freedom, there are people who are using social media to go as far as saying that women are using rights that don't belong to them. Several imams continuously post their lectures on Facebook and YouTube, mostly hitting women for immoral behavior. Imam Irfan Salihu, months ago, through this video, complained that the majority of Muslim Albanian women are having sex before marriage. The language used prompted fierce debate in Kosovo about the thin line that exists between freedom of speech and exercising hate speech and extremism.
Pasha Allah në vllazën tri, juve për drejtohëm, leni këtë bërllok të femnave. Nëse ju I lini femnat të cilat, se mëse pëthejnë hoxha po fol. Me po janë të bo punë të fleqta, këto që kanë bo punë të fleqta të zinas, këto raspia dhe kurva, gjdo femën që bën akt intim, pa niqa, pa kuror, si pas dispozitat Islamit është raspi dhe kurv.
Shevchet Krasniqi is the most famous of them all. The imam of the main mosque in Pristina has some sort of celebrity status, since when he said that Mother Teresa, an Albanian-born nun an icon of all Albanians in the Balkans, has gone to hell because she was not a Muslim. Whatever he does, most of the medias report about it, to many as a clear sign of Islamic radicalism, and to a small but growing group of people as true and valuable teachings of Islam. He didn't want to be interviewed, but considering the large number of videos he posted online, it's not hard to understand his views on womanhood. Once he was asked whether, according to Islam, a man and a woman are equal. His reaction could give Faria a clear answer of why she was abused for so long, just because she wanted more from life.
Po, gruaja dohet të shërbej burr. Më kujdes për punë të shtëpisë, të pastërtisë, të ushqimit, mjarojt mallin burrit, mjarojt familjen, mjarojt nderin.
For Mimoza Koprani, head of the news desk in one of the 3 national TV channels of Kosovo, it is clear that every time a new, particularly religious ideology tries to come back strong or has more to say, the one that is the easiest to hit are women.
Rrymat radikale të fesë kryesisht godasin tek femra. Vazhdimsi mundohen të merren me moralin e femrës, me sjelljet e femrës, ta diferencojnë femrën nga shoqëria, ta mbajnë larg shoqërisë, ta mbajnë të mbyllur, të mbulume, pa pas shumë qasje me pjesën tjetër, pa pas kontakt me botën mashkullore, gjithnjë duke u kujdes për moralin e saj dhe për dignitetin e saj, e që për mendimin tim është i damshëm në radhë të parë për femrën, familjen dhe për shoqërinë përgjithësi.
But imams are not alone on trying to interfere with personal affairs. Political movement Bashkohu, Join in Albanian, is the first ever that acts entirely based on Islamic teachings. They go as far as agreeing that if a country is run by a woman, that country awaits doomsday. During the interview, although we insist several times, General Secretary of this Islamic party refuses to say what would be their first decision if they ever come to power. But it doesn't take long to make a statement that is a clear threat to everyone who they consider is trying to stop them.
Ndërsa për një kategori tjetër që nuk janë shumë, por megjithatë ekzistojnë, e cilët ja kanë vënë vetes qëllim luftën kundër Islamit, ju themi që le të shqetësohen. Ata ja vlen që të shqetësohen sepse ne nuk do të lejojmë që muslimanët të diskriminohen.
He explains that the group of people who should be concerned of them includes journalists, media analysts, and even government ministers.
If there is a single threat, I would point out, this is it. Radical Islam is becoming a threat. And I am a Muslim by birth, although I'm agnostic, but I was raised in a Muslim family. This kind of discourse was totally unacceptable 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
2 years ago, Bashkohu have been calling people in protests against a law that bans minor girls from public school if they wear an Islamic headscarf. They failed to gather enough people in the street, so the law remained unchanged. Later, an event where Kosovo magazine wanted to promote a new issue focusing on sex and LGBT topics was cancelled due to physical assaults against the organizers. The attack is being investigated by Kosovo police, but local media say Bashkohu members participated in the assault. About 40 minutes drive from the capital, in the town of Drenas, we found one imam that in January 2009 lost consciousness while being beaten up by tens of people. Osman Musliu says Wahhabi have attacked him because they wanted to take over a mosque where he already has appointed a liberal imam. Wahhabis in Kosovo are known as radical Islamists imported from Saudi Arabia, the country that officially follows a different Islamic school from Kosovo.
Ka qenë organizim edhe që unë i tham mjekra ushtu shqip. Nuk mundohena me filozofu vehabista, mjekra, njerëz të cilët po dojnë me na çorodit islamin. Po na bojnë islamin të zërshëm, po na bojnë islamin të dhunshëm, që në realitet të na shqiptarët nuk ka qenë ajo.
An hour and a half drive from this town, in Podujev, a town close to the border with Serbia, another imam, a fierce critic of what they call new radicalized Islam, continuously receives death threats that sometimes comes as a letter with bullets for him and his followers.
Fatkeqësisht të janë modele, domethënë të marruna nga lindja, nga vendet arabe islame të caktuara, që janë modele të dështuara, që faktikisht ato kanë sjellni në përçamje dhe për mos më thonë mas kajshmërisht në luftë vllavrasëse atje. Edhe tash tentohen ato skenare, domethënë të praktikohen edhe në vendin tonë, gjatë që kjo është në diçka e pakapshme edhe papranueshme për neve.
A number of citizens of Kosovo are already making experience from the Syrian war. Balkan Investigative Reporting Network a few weeks ago reported that a number of Kosovans have been joining Syrian rebels on fighting Bashar al-Assad regime. Bern program Life in Kosovo broadcasted an interview with the person claiming that he fought in Syria. For Visar Durici, a Balkan Investigative Reporting Network journalist, this is a clear sign that Kosovo, in the future, might become a center for international extremism and terrorism.
Shokët e luftës janë ata të cilët e mbajnë shoqërinë deri në vdekje. Dhe të njëjtën kohë veteranët njihen si njerëz me probleme psiqike dhe të rrezikshëm. Pasojat nga lufta e Sirisë në Kosovë, që tashmë është fakt që ka shqiptarë që luftojnë në Siri, do të jenë të atilla që Kosova me shkëmbimin e vizitave ndërmjet tyre atë shoqëri që do të krijon atje, potencialisht do të qëndrohet në një qendër të ekstremizmit islam në Ballkan, që më vonë do të qëndrohet edhe në terrorizëm.
Our intelligence service will do its job. They will be working together with our international partners to combat them. That's not the problem. The problem is the amount of space they are gaining in our public discourse, in our public space. They are contaminating thoughts and minds of our youngsters. And this is my real worry. How do we make them stop?